Chapter 51, Sabotage. Dennis Rizzitano started school in April. He purchased oodles of hand drums and rhythm instruments, which he passed out at all the Wellspring shows. Gabe and Eric regularly stopped at his apartment to play tunes. He enrolled in Eric's Tai Chi class, rode horses at charities, and took a painting class with Kathy, Gabe, and Conchita. Wellspring was on the march, with 3 or 4 shows every weekend. John Parrish regularly visited the seniors being helped, and the parents of the teens who went out on the work details. His obvious romantic interest in Betty Lou irked Val. "He's only using us to expand his own empire," she groused. The church had, in fact, begun to solicit funds for a new multi-purpose center. Frog got into Yale's law school, but deferred his enrollment for a year to stay in the area. He became a whiz at buying, selling, and leasing commercial property. He found potential buyers for Triss's baseball cards. The American Tobacco Company 1909 Honus Wagner card alone was worth over $4,000. Triss put together a powerful visitation team in Philadelphia. Kathy drove up to see him, or he came to Cross every 3 or 4 weeks. Pete was accepted at Lions U. Auditions for the Strawberry Lady began the second week of April. All the equipment purchased with grant money arrived. The technical consultant, Preston DeWitt, had a nasty temper. Nate thought he was a cocaine addict. Heaven thought she'd seen him before, but couldn't remember where. Filming began May 1st, and there were problems almost immediately. But DeWitt, who was on call, usually came late, if he came at all. After 2 harrowing weeks, Jag and Charity fired him. This galled the film editor, Wilbur Steele, who believed he knew more about motion pictures than any man alive. Steele's daughter, Cassidy, a grad student, wanted the title role. When Jag and Charity chose her to play Ricky's girlfriend, Lisa, she wrote several pages of new dialogue for her character. When Jag didn't agree to the changes, she sulked and complained. F&G hired a security team. There were fire extinguishers throughout the studio and a fireproof vault. Only Charity, Jag, and Steele had keys to the building. Everyone else had to check in with security. The war scenes used toy airplanes, jeeps, tanks, artillery, and sound effects. For the brain trauma sequence, Gabe ran through the woods while firecrackers exploded around him. A toy helicopter landed on a miniaturized battlefield set. Soon, Ricky Payton was lying on his back in the hospital room. Stephanie did a walk-on as a nurse who kisses the comatose Ricky as he lies in bed, dreaming of the Strawberry Lady. She continued to report on the day's activities and was Gabe's steady companion for all his singing jobs. "It's awkward for me sometimes, Cliff, between being with Stephanie and being around my roommate and co-star. I think Steph feels insecure around Heaven. Do you ever talk to her about it?" "With Heaven, yes. We talk about everything, but not with Steph." Cliff put a record on the turntable. The Lovin' Spoonful sang, "Did you ever have to make up your mind to say yes to one and leave the other behind?" "I guess I'm confused about my feelings," Gabe said. Jason Schilling, who portrayed Ricky's bass player, wasn't confused about Stephanie at all. He asked her out. She asked Gabe if he minded. He said he didn't, and regretted it immediately when he saw the hurt look in her eyes. Filming was nearing completion in mid-June. when a series of calamities brought production to a crunching halt. First, Jack's house caught fire. His wife and her attendant were rescued without injury, but the house burned to the ground. Betty Lou took in Ann Zachary for a few days until Jag was able to put her in Cross Mountain Manor. Charity and Jag were questioned by the police. Jag had a $250,000 life insurance policy on his wife and had recently purchased extra fire insurance. The fire had been started with gasoline. An empty can in the tool shed had Jag's prints. No charges were filed, but filming was seriously delayed. Just when things seemed to be back on track, a woman called to say her organization had planted a bomb in the studio and they were detonating it in 1 hour. All the equipment was hastily loaded into vans and pickup trucks as police assisted the evacuation. A 5-man bomb squad found nothing, but 3 more days were lost amid skyrocketing security costs. The day after filming recommenced, a police detective arrested Charity and Jag. A witness swore she saw Charity at the Cross Inn, getting into a blue late-model Pontiac with Charlotte Graves, also known as Peggy Hart, a few days after the jewels were reported stolen. The detective claimed to have proof Charity gave Peggy money to help her elude the FBI, in return for which Peggy pretended to steal the jewels, which he said had already been sold and replaced by fake ones. The insurance company investigator believed the jewelry heist and fire were connected. He had witnesses who had seen Jag and Charity entering and leaving the same hotel, and had seen them there on other occasions and heard them talk about selling the jewels. Wilbur Steele took over as director. He changed many of the scenes to appease his daughter Cassidy, whose role he greatly expanded. Jag and Charity were arraigned before a grand jury the first week of July, charged with fraud, arson, and conspiracy. Charity was also charged with aiding and abetting a felon and money laundering. The police obtained a search warrant. They took over the studio and the house in Holdenville. The insurance company secured an order freezing Charity's assets. Suddenly, she and Jag were homeless. So were Heaven and Gabe. The horses were taken away and sold. Wilbur and Cassidy Steele left the area the day the police began their search of the studio. When the vault was opened to view the film, all they found were scenes from Psycho and Citizen Kane. Candy turned down Luke's marriage proposal. "We haven't known each other long enough," she told Kathy, "but it sure was wonderful being asked, and he didn't get all upset with me when I said no." Brooke Lynn Campanella Shoup was born July 7th at Pottsville Hospital. Frog's proposal arrived in a fortune cookie through prearrangement with the owner of Susie Wong's. When Leslie said yes, the waiter brought the engagement ring in a covered platter. "Now I remember where I saw him," Heaven said. She and Gabe went to the Blue Room. She showed Harry Heflin a picture of DeWitt and one of Steele. "Yes, I've seen them both come in here. This one DeWitt, he was one of Peggy's lovers. Have you seen her? Heaven asked. Not since January. She was trying to fence some jewels. I told her, get out or I'll call the cops. Already had the heat on me because of her dope dealing. Anyway, that's the last I heard from her. We've missed you, Heaven. Anytime you need work, beautiful lady, you know there's an opening for you here. Thank you, Harry. I appreciate that. Heaven brought her findings to the police. DeWitt and Steele were both captured 3 weeks later. The witness, who claimed she had seen Charity get in the car with Peggy, admitted Steele had paid her $200 to say that. Cassidy Steele and Charlotte Graves remained at large. The film was never recovered. Charges against Charity and Jag were quickly dropped, but they remained under investigation for the fire. The insurance company refused to pay. Charity had to sell her house and her Porsche to cover her attorney's fees and losses on the film. Helga Mears had an empty bedroom. Charity moved in with her. Jag wanted to resume production, but they were evicted from the studio. They still owed a lot of money, and the university suspended him after an arrest for public intoxication. Heaven moved in with Betty Lou and Val for the rest of the summer. She and Charity resumed their bookstore tour. Gabe senses something amazing is about to happen. He spends a couple of nights at Nate's and a couple on Dennis's couch. Then Triss rides into town unannounced and hands him the keys to his Wonder Bread truck. He tells Gabe he is moving to Texas to work at a homeless shelter. They spend 2 days selling books in Gettysburg. At night, they stay at a campground. Triss tells Gabe to keep all the money and helps him order more books. You don't have to pay Abe for 60 days, he says. The next morning, at the Harrisburg airport, Triss signs the truck over to Gabe. He leaves him with almost $2,000 worth of inventory, mostly cookbooks and medical encyclopedias. I can't believe you're doing all this, Triss. Isn't there something I can do for you? There is, Triss says. I won't be here for Pete when classes start, and Mom won't be either, and his folks are in Baltimore. I'll be there for him, pal. Don't worry. I'll keep him straight. Triss's plane arrives. Gabe throws his arms around him. It's been amazing. I love you, man. I love you too, Gabe. I'll see you later, okay? Triss, thanks for everything. Thank you, Gabe, for everything. 3 days later, Gabe rode back to Cross. He stuck $1,600 in his checking account and moved Gina from Nate's apartment to her new home. He dropped in at Betty Lou's. I'm planning to work Richmond for a couple of days, he said. Want to come with me, Heaven? Heaven called her mom. You'll never believe how excited she is. Regina Flowers turned on the Southern charm just as her daughter said she would. She had prepared a room for them, but Gabe shocked her when he stated with practiced sincerity, Mrs. Flowers, I love your daughter, but we're not married, and I respect her far too much to ask her to share her bed with me. Perhaps one day I'll be worthy of her hand. She stared at him in disbelief. Oh my, Heaven, darling, you have found yourself a real gentleman here. Gabe parked at a nearby shopping center. Heaven spent the day with her mother and brother, while Gabe worked one of the main strips. That evening, he took Heaven and her family to a fine restaurant. He gave a concert in the living room and went bowling with Heaven and her brother Caleb. He dropped them off at home around 10 and departed again for his shopping center. Returning to the 93 businesses he'd visited on Monday, he had orders for 44 books at $14.99 each. He pocketed the $660, most of it cash. At another fine restaurant, he gave Mrs. Flowers a cookbook, a medical encyclopedia, and a Picasso print of Don Quixote he'd purchased at an art gallery that bought 3 books from him. The next afternoon, Heaven and Gabe drove back to Cross. "That meant so much to me," she said. "What you said to her about respect. After the way you handled my mom, it was the very least I could do. I understand that. But it's not just talk with you. That's what's so amazing, Gabe. And that's why I'll always love you." "Back at you, kid," he said. Chapter 52, A Job Offer for Gabe. Kathy spent the summer working with her father. Gabe visited in August. He sold books along one of the main business sections. They paid a visit to Lincoln Ginny, who had just found out she was pregnant. "Obviously, she's thrilled," Gabe said later. "Is something bothering him?" "The Fox Chapel exit's been blocked off for road repairs since June," Kathy said. "It's hurting all the stores." "How long's that gonna last?" "Another 6 months, probably. Unfortunately, summer and fall are their big selling seasons." "They'll make it work." "I hope so. I finished reading that book you gave me." "Yeah? It's kind of freaky, Kat, but I feel a presence in the truck, especially at night, like God's reaching out to me. I really don't know what else to call it. I just feel a peace when I'm there. I think about Tris a lot, things we talked about the last time I saw him." "I think about him too," Gabe laughed. "He's a thought-provoking guy, isn't he? So why did he leave Philly? He didn't tell me, and I didn't feel it was my place to ask." "The 2 men who started Dare to Be Great were childhood friends. I think you met Reverend Piper at Colesdale." "Yes, I remember him. The other guy's at UCLA, Livingston Waters. Great name for a minister." "Definitely. He was with Tris when the shootings occurred. That's when he met Yvette. She was in jail for a few days, but Reverend Waters got her a job working at the church." I think I know where this is going, Kat." Kathy nodded somberly. "Waters' wife calls Piper up one day and says her husband's romantically involved with Yvette. Piper calls Waters up, but Waters tells Piper his wife cheated on him and God released him from his marriage vows." "Waters said Piper's wife was cheating on him?" "No, his own wife. She takes their 3 kids and goes back to Philly and files for divorce. Piper thinks Waters should resign or at least take a leave of absence so he can take care of his family situation. But Waters accuses Piper of trying to turn the church against him, so he fires him. Tris didn't tell me any of this. I'd be shocked if he did, Gabe. When I asked him why he was leaving, he just said they needed him at a homeless shelter. Yeah, Piper started one in Corpus Christi. Tris went down for a couple weeks to help him get it rolling. Then Karen and Pete went down. They took a ride into Mexico. Tris says they're going to build a free clinic near Tampico. His aunt and uncle and his grandma, too, soon as they can all sell their homes. Tris asked me to look after Pete. Me too. Tris wants me to look after you, Kat? No, silly. He wants me to look out for Pete. Dennis took summer classes. His roommate, another Vietnam veteran, was back in Pittsburgh for the summer. Gabe knocked on his door. Here for your weekly tub experience? Actually, I'm here to jam with you, Dan, but I will use the facilities if you insist. First, you can help me with a song I've been trying to write. An hour and a shower later, the song had taken shape.
I am broken, I am incomplete, I am scared now of my own defeat. In my hour of darkness, please comfort me. I'm not ready to give up the fight, but I can't face this alone tonight. In my hour of darkness, you set me free. You sent someone down here to rescue me. Angels of mercy were sent to watch over me. Help me fight through the pain and the suffering. And with their love I can mend. Let me back on my feet again. Oh, oh,
A serious discussion followed. If heaven ever said to me, Gabe, let's get married, no way I could have said, I don't know, are you sure? I also think if I'd asked her, she probably would have given me the green light, 'cause we are that close. But it just seems like we both know it's just not in the cards. It's not serious between her and Josh, is it? As far as I know, Den, they're just good friends. I don't know if I could be just friends with a girl like her. She's just so, you know. Yeah, I know. You know something else, Gabe? Try me. My whole life, before I lost my leg, looks like a cartoon. Lying there at the VA, I was forced to take a look at what I'd become. And I sure as hell didn't like what I saw. For real. 'Cause what I saw was how you looked out for Bob and Mark and the other guys. They all saw you as a friend. A leader, that's what I saw. Nice try, pal. Fact is, in college, and even before that, I've had a constant need to be the center of attention. Anywhere I went, I had to have the best looking woman in the room. I had to be the coolest guy with the sharpest car, just like my dad. We used to go bar hopping and pick up women. Even after he got engaged, then I met a gal named Nancy. I thought she was really special. But when I was in Nam, my old man took her out, and guess what? They wound up in the sack. I was ready to kill him when I found out. But he offed himself. That's rough, Den. Gabe squeezed Dennis's hand. Remember when you came up after Christmas? Best believe I was jealous of you, buddy. You were so totally cool with your long hair and your songs. And I could see how my sister and Kathy both looked at you. But you really sang your heart out for the guys. It wasn't just to impress the ladies. That's when I started liking you. But you gotta admit, Den, impressing the ladies is important. True. I think with Mark and Bob it was even worse. Guy like you just rubs it in their face how messed up they are. But you were sensitive about it. And I still don't know how you did it, Gabe, but you pulled my mom out of an emotional hell. Jen and I couldn't do it, but you did. Well, I was trying to get out of my own hell after my world came crashing down in Milwaukee. I was hitching back to Holdenville to go hide under a rock. But my first ride stopped in Pittsburgh. I just felt crazy enough to head north. Good thing. Otherwise, I'm probably stuck in a business I have no interest in. I cannot overstate how much I look forward to our gigs and our jams. Me too. I haven't smoked a cigarette for almost 2 months, pal. That's lamb, making me want to get back in shape and clean up my life. And Pete Murphy? Talk about talent. And you're right up there too, man, as far as that goes. You're so amazing with an audience. Just flat out great. It must be so hard then, living in the shadow of such musical giants. Dennis exploded in laughter. It is, but someone's got to do it. I love you too, Mama. Heaven hung up the phone. Things are just so much friendlier since she met Gabe. Betty Lou sipped her coffee. He's really good with mothers. That's for darn sure. Except for his own, Heaven said. But there's real progress there. So, what did the lawyer want, hon? Marcia's suing Coach Todd in the university. He wanted to know if I'd like to join her. Mama thinks I can get my scholarship back. That'd be something, wouldn't it? But I don't miss diving or class. I would like to help Marcia, though. What Coach did to her was just plain wrong. Maybe, Betty Lou said, Coach was just trying to protect the other girls. Nobody needed protection. Marcia never once made me feel like she was after me or anything. Well, it certainly was wrong that you got dropped. I can only imagine the gossip you had to endure. It all turned out good, Betty Lou, and you had a lot to do with that. I didn't do a whole lot. When I really needed someone, you were there, Betty Lou. Can I ask you something personal, honey? What? We got us a little present in the mail. Back when we were behind on our rent and they were about to shut off the power, it was the exact amount we needed. Heaven bowed her head. Betty Lou began to weep. That's why you went back to the blue room, isn't it? Heaven whispered. And I'd do it again. Gabe took a trip to Manhattan the Wednesday before Woodstock. He met Abe and Ida Moskovitz at a fancy restaurant and heard how they'd met Tris and Kathy on the turnpike. He spent the evening at Sammy Moss's studio, recording every minute, every hour, every day. I'm telling you now. And life just began when I met you. Sammy wouldn't accept any payment. The next morning, he drove to his parents' house. They were eager to hear about his trip. His brother had added 3 inches and 15 pounds since the winter visit. Friday afternoon, he visited Larry and Jane. Both had blue hair and sported Larry and Jane True Love Forever tattoos on their left forearm. Gabe gave them a fondue pot with an assortment of fancy cheeses and breads. He only worked half a day. The truck was stalling and sputtering. That evening, in the apartment over Larry and Jane's Sandwich Emporium, he politely declined Larry's invitation to smoke weed. Just cleaning out my lungs, pal. And that's a good thing, Larry said, 'cause clean lungs are healthy lungs. Jane laughed and took a big toke from their 38-inch bong. Larry asked if he'd seen Cindy. No, but her father called. Get out! To apologize. Larry scratched his shoulder and neck. For what? Mrs. Riley intercepted all my letters and made sure Cindy never got them. But I already knew that. He said, my wife has a thing about Jews, but I'm more broad-minded. No way! He said that? I just want my girl to be happy, he says. So I asked him point blank if she was still married. He says, yeah, but she ain't never going back to that pig. He said the divorce was just a matter of time. So what then? He offered me a job. That's insane. I know. He offered you a job with Riley Construction? He did, but I told him I'm regional marketing director for Moskovitz Publishing. Had to rub your Jewishness in his face, didn't you? Well, you gotta admit, Larry, it does sound more impressive than I sell cookbooks out of my truck. I can see your point. It's good that you're making some decent bread now. Anyhow, Gabe's, Janie and me are heading up to Woodstock in the morning for the festival. Want to ride up with us? That's tempting, pal, but I gotta head back. Gabe reached into his pocket and pulled out $360 in cash. This is for the $2,400 I made on frat gigs since you left, including the $125 I'm getting tomorrow night at Fiddler's End. Holy crap, Gabe, you don't have to do that. I've still got a few more coming in the fall, thanks to Mr. Michael McShane, the world's best booking agent. I'll send you a check later. Wow, you're too much, man. Can I get you something to eat? Something to drink? Janie, load up a bag for Gabe, please? He hugged them both. Larry kissed his neck. Jane said, if you see Lynn, tell her I said no hard feelings. You can give her our phone number and tell everyone else we said hi. Okay? He bit into a roast beef and Swiss cheese sandwich as he rolled down the turnpike. It was the best sandwich he'd ever tasted, but the truck was making a grinding sound. It broke down 30 miles from Cross. He hitched a ride to a gas station and called the mechanic Triss had recommended. A truck came out to give him a free tow. Gabe called the next day. The timing chain snapped, the mechanic said. Ouch, Gabe said. There was a lot of engine damage, sir, but we should have it purring like a kitten again in a couple days. What's it gonna cost me? Oh, don't worry about it. Your friend's taking care of it. My friend? Triss didn't tell you? He made arrangements to pay for all your repairs for a year. Chapter 53, The Burning Bed. Frog found a 4-bedroom, 2-story house on Moat Street. Leslie, Candy, Kathy, and Lynn moved in when fall classes started, along with the smiley and cuddly Brooke Lynn Campanella Shoop. Dennis's roommate never returned. He's in jail. He shot his ex-girlfriend's new guy. Dead? Gabe asked. No, but he'll never walk again. I met the guy. Pretty decent quarterback at Central Catholic. Are you okay? I guess. Mostly. Except I can't seem to get past the fact that the last thing I ever said to my old man was, I hate you. Gabe nodded. Yeah, I've told my parents I hate him on more than one occasion. I don't really hate him. But things just get too intense sometimes, you know? But I meant it, pal. I really wanted to kill him. Him and Nancy. Did he tell you how it happened? No, but she did. The day after Jen and Mom left. I knew something was going on. She, of course, said it was an accident. A mistake. They were both drinking and it just happened. They didn't mean for it to happen, but it just did. You know, all that crap. What did he say? Well, he denied it at first. Then he says he thought me and Nance split up because she was seeing another guy, which was a big crock. And when I said, how could you do that, man? He said she wasn't worth getting all upset about. After all, what kind of woman makes it with her guy's father? That's when I really lost it. Gabe was still having his nightmare about being grabbed and chained to a bed soaked with gasoline and set ablaze. Who do you think the two guys are? Cliff asked. No idea. But you're afraid of them? Yes. Scale of 1 to 10. 10. I see. When you talk about them, do you feel the same kind of fear? Not as much, Cliff. Like a 5? More like 6 or 7. Okay. I want you to picture the corridor in the dream. Can you see it? Yes. You're walking down the corridor. Can you see yourself? Yes. Are you afraid? Yes. Why are you afraid? They're waiting for me. Who? The two guys in black with the hoods. Gabe trembled as Cliff stared at the ceiling. He scratched his left arm with his right hand, crinkled his nose, and nodded. You know what I think, Gabe? What? You need a weapon. Yeah? What kind of weapon do you want? How about a gun? Okay. What kind of gun? A pistol? A Luger? Okay. Where do you want to hold it? In my pocket. And what do you plan to do with it? Can I shoot the guys with the hoods? It's your dream. That night, as he lay in bed, he pictured himself loading his gun and walking down that corridor with the gun in his pocket. He saw himself pull it out and shoot. Bang! Again. Bang! When sleep came, he was right there, walking with that big steel Luger semi-automatic in his pocket. He put his hand on it. As soon as they tried to grab him, he pulled it out and squeezed the trigger. It went click, click. The next thing he knew, he was chained to the bed in flames. The two fiends stood over him, laughing. Briary horns protruded from their hoods. Charity went back to Detroit after Tommy was hospitalized with spinal meningitis. Jag spent most of his time at the local bars, trying to drum up support for another attempt at the Strawberry Lady. Heaven moved into Helga Mear's house and started working at a daycare center. She gave her deposition to Marcia Grant's attorney, who prepped his star witness in his client's sex discrimination lawsuit. Pete spent most of the summer in Corpus Christi, working with Triss and Karen at the homeless shelter. He returned to Baltimore at the end of August. He apologized to his father and told him how much he loved him. They spent a weekend together, taking in the sights at the nation's capital. Betty Lou's divorce was granted. Roger sent her a letter from prison asking for money. She began sending him $35 a month. Val stayed busy with Wellspring. She played at several local clubs and doted on her new sister. Frog started law school in Connecticut. Dr. Cliff Hunter helped Dennis deal with his guilt, grief, and anger. Pete calls Gabe to the phone one evening after a Wellspring appearance. "Hey, Gabe," Trish says, "I want to thank you for picking Pete up and helping him move into his dorm. He says you and Dennis have been over there playing a lot of music." "Yeah, and Lamb too. He wants to start a band real bad and play all original tunes. How's things at the shelter?" "Definitely great. Mom's an inspiration, the way she takes care of everybody, and Ted's pretty amazing too. He can pull pretty much anyone out of their funk and get them smiling again. We've got some guys here that just got out of prison, and they're all hard workers. We have a lot of construction projects, and cleanup around here, it never ends." "How many are living there?" "Right now, we've got 70. "Where do you get your food?" "Anywhere we can." "I'd like to send a donation." "Wow, that's great. Thank you." "Still planning to go to Mexico, Tris?" "Definitely. A lot of the shelter people want to help, and my uncle flies in supplies twice a month now. They're coming down to stay soon as their house sells. It's great, because Mom and Aunt Di are super close, and my grandma's coming too. She calls this the Great Adventure. Can I ask you a personal question?" "Of course." "Have you been sleeping okay?" "Mostly. Why do you ask?" "I had a dream about you the last time we were together. I've been wondering if I should tell you about it." "Well, sure. You can tell me." "Okay. I was in a hotel, Gabe, and you were walking down the hall ahead of me. Then two guys jumped you. They were both dressed in black, and they had hoods on." "Holy crap!" "I started running, but they pulled you into a room and slammed the door. It was locked, but I kicked it down. You were lying on a bed with a big chain around you, and you were on fire. They came charging at me, but I pointed my finger at them, and lightning shot out of my finger. They both disintegrated. Poof! Then I gave the chain a karate chop. Pow! And it broke. You stood up, the fire went out, and you were just fine." "Wow! That's incredible." "Pretty strange dream, Gabe. Does it make any sense to you?" "I gotta tell you, this is crazy, man. I've had that dream at least 10 times. Except you're not in it, and I always wind up getting fried. Cliff said I should carry a gun when I'm in that corridor. But when I had the dream last night, the gun wouldn't shoot. It just went click, click. And I woke up scared out of my mind, like I always do." "Can I tell you what I think it means?" Gabe felt a sudden burst of heat in his hand, like the phone was about to explode. "Please do." "Those two hooded figures are guilt and shame. You don't see yourself as a very good person, even though that's exactly what you are. The devil wants you to think you've angered God, and he wants to punish you. That's a total lie, Gabe. God is not mad at you. Not even a little. Not at all." "He's not?" "No. He delights in you. You're the apple of his eye. Don't you know that?" "Nobody ever told me that before." "He's crazy about you, Gabe. Honest." "Wow. I know he's been reaching out to me. I was brought up not to believe in him, like I told you. But heaven and me, we talk about the amazing things that were happening, and she always says, I know God's in this, and I feel something in my gut whenever she says that, like I just know she's right. Yes, and you know in your gut, you don't have to be chained to that bed anymore. I don't need a gun either, do I? God will take care of me, right? Like he did when I was in jail or when we lost the house? That's right, Gabe. Even when they put Charity and Jag in jail, I knew we'd be okay, as if God told me so himself. I feel like he's right here, right now, listening in. Exactly. You're a seeker, Gabe. Those who seek him with all their heart always find him. I finished reading In His Steps. What a book. It's totally changed how I look at things. Give it to somebody else, okay? Just ask God who. He will tell you. I will. I better let you go. Mom's waiting for me. I sure love you, Gabe. That same night, the final showdown came. He stood between hallways and saw the young man being grabbed and dragged into the last room on the left. He ran after him and kicked the door down. Just as guilt and shame were dropping the match, they leaped at him, making hideous noises. He pointed a finger, and they went flying backwards. They disintegrated against the wall. He shattered the chain with a karate blow, and the young man stood up. The fire went out. He was free. Gabe switched his major to theater arts, which delayed graduation for a year. He jammed at Dennis's most nights with Eric, Dennis, and Pete. John Parrish offered to get them gigs at local churches on Sunday mornings. He suggested a 70-30 split. Eric said 80-20's more equitable. There's 4 of us. Parrish said, I'll talk to the board and get back to you. Dennis drove Kathy to Pittsburgh in his Corvette in late March. Ginny had just given birth to Jesse David Isaacs, a tiny fellow with red hair and green eyes like his mother. The new store was still losing money. Link wanted to give Dennis back his stake, but Randy said Dennis shouldn't expect any return on his investment until the new store was profitable. I don't really care about the money, Dennis told Kathy on the ride back. I just wish Link would get some spine. His folks always take Randy's side when they have a difference of opinion, and you've seen how cold they are to Jen. She told me Link's ex is making it harder and harder for him to spend time with his boy, Kathy said. Yeah, and she got a big hike in her alimony and child support when they opened the Fox Chapel store. I know, Dan. Jen told me they're on a really tight budget. Did she tell you about Link's big anxiety attack? His shrink's got him on Valium. Candy got an associate degree in business technology in March of 1970. She took a receptionist position with a local real estate office. She was frequently in the company of Luke McPherson. Sometimes Brooklyn stayed with him when Candy was working. Val and Betty Lou also looked after the tiny bundle of joy quite a bit. Marcia Grant won a $200,000 judgment from the university. In court, the defense attorney tried to paint Heaven as a drug addict and prostitute through witnesses who'd seen her dance at the Blue Room. But Marcia's attorney was quick to point out that Heaven was also a victim of unwanted harassment and had unjustly lost her scholarship. Her testimony tipped the case in Marcia's favor. When Coach Todd was fired, she also sued the university, but lost. After reaching a 75-25 compromise on the division of funds, Murphy's Lamb debuted Sunday, April 19th, 1970, at Grace Evangelical Lutheran Church. They received sustained applause after each song. John Parrish told the 400 in attendance how Wellspring had been performing at nursing homes for a year and a half, and how they had launched a community services program that has touched countless lives. He talked about Dennis's service to his country and how Pete had conquered drug addiction. He mentioned that Gabe was Jewish, Dennis was Catholic, Pete was Pentecostal, and Eric was Episcopalian. That's the beauty of this, folks. They all serve the same God. While so many of our youth are getting hooked on drugs, these boys are helping kids get off drugs and stay off drugs and find meaning in their lives by serving the less fortunate. We're going to receive a special offering now. Let's be as generous as we possibly can, folks, because the more you give, the more people we can help. Bow your heads, please. 4 men with empty Kentucky Fried Chicken buckets cruised through the aisles until everyone had an opportunity to give. Betty Lou led the closing hymn, Victory in Jesus. Refreshments were served in the basement. Parrish handed Eric an envelope. I'd be happy to call other churches so you all can do this every Sunday. People need to know what you've been doing, and we need to get more young folks involved. We're cool with that, Eric said. Everyone shook hands. They loaded Gabe's truck and rode back to Dennis's apartment. Eric tore open the envelope. He pulled out a check for $482.25 to Murphy's Lamb. They agreed to give it all to Wellspring. I don't see why the church gets 25% if we're not keeping any of this for ourselves, Gabe said. They have a lot of bills to pay, Eric said. Every dollar a parishioner donates to us is one less dollar they have to give to the church. Soon the band was playing every Sunday morning. Along with the nursing home donations and other regular contributors, Wellspring was now receiving nearly $1,000 every week. Heartbeat Publishing in the Detroit area gave Charity a $7,500 advance on a collection of poems she had written, The Scents of Summer. They asked her to oversee their rapidly growing poetry division. In late April, Heaven flew to Detroit for an interview, and she was hired as Charity's assistant. Shortly after Heaven started, Charlotte Graves, also known as Peggy Hart, called Charity to say she had pictures Preston DeWitt had taken of Heaven dancing in the Blue Room. She said she could make the pictures disappear for $25,000. Charity told Peggy she needed a few days to raise the money. She contacted the FBI, who gave her $25,000 in marked bills. Peggy told her to leave the money under a trash receptacle at a local park. After Cassidy Steele picked it up, 2 unmarked vehicles followed as she drove south on Route 75. She got off near Toledo and pulled into a trailer park. Peggy and Cassidy were arrested without incident. Both were wearing jewelry stolen from Charity. The police didn't find any photos of Heaven. They had already been sold to a tabloid newspaper. Pictures of her dancing topless were soon available at many local newsstands and supermarkets, along with stories of her drug overdose, her stay in a mental hospital, and the allegations that caused her to forfeit her athletic scholarship. The owners of Heartbeat Publishing told Heaven to empty her desk. Charity told them, if she leaves, so will I. Soon they were back on a Midwest bookstore tour. Heaven's newfound notoriety didn't hurt book sales in the least. The Scents of Summer quickly became a national bestseller. Frog found another 4-bedroom house on Moat Street, just a block from the girl's house. That summer, Gabe, Pete, Eric, and Dennis moved in. Ginny and Kathy came up for the housewarming party. Ginny was an adoring mother. Little Jesse absorbed all the love around him like a flower drawing rainwater from the soil. He's a sweet, sweet boy, Gabe said. Is he always this happy? I wish, Ginny said. I think he likes Candy's girl. She's a real cutie, all right. How's married life? Ginny sighed. It has its ups and downs. Dennis told Gabe later that Ginny had taken a $20,000 loan on her house in California, which she was renting out. Link told her he needed the money to pay off his father and brother, but he used it to purchase another property he thought he could turn for a quick profit. Instead, he had to sell it at a loss of $8,000. It had all kinds of mold and dry rot. He tried to sue the seller for concealing it and blew another $6,000 on attorney fees. Then he went on a coke binge and blew the rest. Gabe shrugged. I don't know what's wrong with that guy. She'd do anything for him. I know, Dennis said. She told him they can go to Charleston. It's beautiful down there year-round, and the house is right on the ocean. But Link says if they move down there, he'll only see Brett once or twice a year. Since his child support went up, he's spending more and more time working, and when he's not working, he's thinking about work or he's just tired. I told him, it's crazy to work that hard and be too tired to enjoy your life. Charity and Heaven returned to Cross after Anne Zachary Grappelli passed away in October. Jag looked old and haggard at the funeral. He sat with Charity, Heaven, and Gabe, weeping after everyone had left. I'm through being a drunk, Jag said. I'm back at the U, starting in January. That's wonderful, Heaven said. They're building a new theater, Jag said. Annie left them a big chunk, so they're naming it after her. Cool, Gabe said. Heaven took his hand. She stood up and walked out of the room with him. They need to talk, she said. Yeah, you're right. When are you going back? Monday. Early. I just can't wait to get out there tomorrow with the gang. I miss you all so much. She put her arms around him. He swooned. We miss you too, beautiful lady, especially me, like every day. How's Tommy? He's so much better. He smiles all the time, and he makes lots and lots of sounds, just not many words. Gil's got a mustache. I know. He called me. Between their first fall performance, September 6th, 1970, and their last engagement, June 27th, 1971, the day after Gabe, Kathy, Leslie, Dennis, and Conchita graduated, Wellspring performed at 87 nursing homes. Murphy's Lamb played at 38 churches. Many local businesses and individuals contributed on a regular basis.